welcome to our very first movie review session. My name is Cooper, and with me I have my roommate and co-host Derek Mauricio, and today we're going to talk about A24 Cinema's newest film, The Green Knight, starring Dev Patel.
Alright, thanks for having me. The way I would describe this movie really is a twisted take on the traditional fable of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. And, it's surrounded by the times there's King Arthur, it's in Camelot, so we know a lot about this already. And here is a clip from the trailer in case you haven't seen it yet.
You tell me a tale of yourself, so that I might know thee.
I have none to tell.
Yet you have none to tell yet.
Alright, so that was a clip from the Green Knight trailer. So let's get right into the review. My first thought after watching this film is that it was a much more abstract experience than what I was initially expecting. I thought it was going to be a lot more of a cut and dry fantasy type film, but it really was a lot more of an abstract and surreal viewing experience than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. One of the first things I noticed of it being so abstract was they had these titles that would symbolize the chapters, and it would have the little title on screen, and it would just tell the little part of the journey that would go through it. And I found that super weird because you don't really see that in cinematography,
right?
Let alone recently.
Definitely gave me a Quentin Tarantino kind of vibe, with the intercuts and different. Yeah. It was almost like a film noir kind of tactic to throw the visuals up on the screen like that. I thought it was really interesting.
And it didn't take away from the film at all. It wasn't like it was a bad addition. It was kind of nice just to have, you can kind of speculate what would happen.
No, I thought it was nice because each time there was an introduction to a new one of those chapters, you knew that something was going to go down. And it was going to be something interesting to watch. And it was crazy because between each different chapter and each different portion of that, they had... that color was a huge motif in the entire film. They touch a lot on, green, obviously, first of all, and what that symbolizes as far as the story. But aside from that, there was a ton of symbolism in the movie that I actually found to be really unclear.
Yeah, I can agree with that more. After watching the film, I remember, I had so many questions that weren't answered. And there was a lot of just random encounterments that, in the end of the film, it didn't really, it didn't make sense to add that to the story.
No.
Or it just, it was different. It had nothing to do with the main storyline.
Yeah, there were a lot of interactions with different characters throughout the story that I thought at times were almost unnecessary. But I mean, other than that, the ending wrapped up in a concise enough way that it didn't throw the whole film away for me. It had a lot of interesting flash forwards.
Yeah, it had it would cut to him, I guess, envisioning his death. Towards the end of the film, it goes a lot more in detail than towards the middle, because in the middle is just, him dead, and skeletons, just if he was just lay there the entire time.
Yeah, and if I have my facts right, that was actually something that was in the original tale as well, in the original fable.
Yeah.
But when I read through the original tale, it actually, instead of leaving that ambiguous interpretive ending that they choose to end off of, he actually does go on to live out his life in the tale.
Really?
Yeah, so instead of just killing him, or as it seems like it might have gone down in the film, Dev Patel's character, actually, Sir Gawain, actually goes on to live the rest of his life, and he actually gets a nick on the neck as to bear
the punishment. Okay.
Yeah, to bear the shame of not having the bravery required to be a knight, which is essentially the driving force for the entire adventure in the entire movie.
Yeah. And the only other thing I would have to say about the movie that kind of took a tick off my score, you know what I mean? It was the really weird touching and body language from the characters towards each other. It was a little bit it was way too. It was awkward and just
it was really intimate at times
it was
when
like-
it didn't really seem like it needed to be. Because
No.
I understand the romantic aspect to it, and
You know, the
there was
temptation
the
part of
theme
it,
of
yeah.
temptation was a big one in there. But some of the other
was just-
characters, it just didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it didn't make sense to the quest line and how that would shape his character.
Yeah, but overall, it was an experience I liked. I thought it was a pretty good movie.
I thought it was a really good movie. One of the best visuals I've seen, and at least in recent films for sure. The cinematography was off the charts.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be surprised seeing it win some
some
awards,
some
nominations at least for
Yeah.
its cinematography, because it was a beautiful.
Because it was a beautifully shot in the film. for
regardless of how the actual story was interpreted. So, I mean, I guess overall, we'll close out with our final scores. I'm going to give this film an 8 out of 10. I think that it was a solid story, beautiful score, beautiful visuals. Just a lot of the symbolisms and themes throughout the movie were pretty unclear to the viewer.
Yeah.
And there was just a lot to unpack. And like you said, there were a lot of questions that were left unanswered.
Yeah.
Which I didn't find a lot of satisfaction.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't satisfying enough, especially with the ending and the way it ended off. It wasn't satisfying enough for me to kind of overlook that in my final score. I'm going to score it as well, an 8 out of 10, just for the pure fact that the cinematography was great. The acting was actually really good. It was just the weird scenarios that they would add in, and that's what really knocked my ticks a little bit. But
Yeah.
a pretty beautiful film. I would definitely recommend it to anybody that would be interested in watching a fantasy type film. It was definitely an interesting take on the old Fable, and it wasn't what I was expecting at all.
Definitely. Well, thank you, Derek. All right, so that is going to wrap it up for our episode today. Thank you for tuning in. Keep an eye out for more of A24 Studios movies coming out in the near future, such as The Lamb. And definitely add The Green Knight to your watch list. It's an interesting and surreal viewing experience, and I definitely recommend seeing it at least once. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Appreciate the listen.